Welcome to the 24K Life podcast. You know, we love to bring you guests that are encouraging, that are insightful, and that deliver tools and tips that will help us all elevate our lives. You know, being 24K is about living your life unapologetically at your highest value possible without concerning yourself with others' opinions, thoughts, and insights. Now, we love to get people's thoughts and insights, but man, they cannot break our own personal values and codes along the way. So today, we are doing our college athlete edition, and we are bringing in a known national stud. He is a freshman at Concordia who has been named the newcomer of the year. What? We love that. His name's Dell Johnson. Dell, welcome to the 24K Life podcast.
Glad to be welcome. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. You got to be feeling yourself. Newcomer of the year in a college program? What? It's pretty exciting stuff, man. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty exciting. I never would have thought that this would have happened. I mean, honestly, man, I just get in the blocks and run, man, try and execute. I don't even try and think about it. But I'm,
all right,
cool to be nominated. Just keep doing what I do.
I love it. So where did your physical competitive prowess come from? I mean, like when you take a look, have you always been, you came out the womb fighting and kicking and screaming? Where were you always competitive, or is this something that you've learned how to do?
Honestly, no, man. I wasn't really competitive like that. Me and my brother Luke, we were never really just growing up, weren't really competitive like that. I know my dad used to force us to play basketball, and I think that kind of developed some of it. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't really always competitive. I kind of just wanted to do my own thing, and it wasn't until I kind of started running track and I started to really like it. I really started to enjoy the sport. And then, I started winning. I just really liked that feeling, and I just, couldn't stop.
Well, let me ask you, because you might not consider yourself competitive. I mean, you're in a sport where you have to show up and do your absolute best. And yeah. I don't want to say you're not competitive, because I don't know. I'm asking you a question. I guess what I'm really saying is I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you consider yourself very competitive?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I see that in you, and I've known you for 5-6 years now. Mm-hmm. So, tell us about your origin story. You were starting to tell us, and I cut you off to ask you about that, but your dad was making you guys play some ball, and then you started running track. How old were you when you started running track on a team?
I was 9 years old when I started running track, when my mom brought me. I think it was, I don't know, I can't remember. I think it was to the Y. I was 9 years old. She brought me to the indoor track, and that's kind of honestly where it started. Then I just kind of jumped in, started doing drills, and then after that day, I just liked it, and then it just started being a reoccurring theme to start coming to practice more and more. Then one thing, I was throwing in workouts, and I was throwing in an indoor meet. Then outdoors came, did the AAU thing, and that's just kind of how it started.
So does anybody in your family run track? Your grandfather, your grandmother, where did you pick up track?
I'm pretty sure my grandfather used to run track. My mom's dad used to run track.
Okay.
He was a distance runner, I'm pretty sure. And my mom, it pretty much being an athlete in the family, ran track at Purdue University. So she was pretty much honestly where I get it from.
So she was a Boilermaker, huh?
Yep. You know what I'm saying? So she did that whole thing, and yeah, just kind of where it's from.
So you had, your dad was making you play basketball. You decided you wanted to run a little track, and then, you really, really felt the affinity towards track over basketball, or what happened? Because most kids, obviously, I shouldn't say most kids. I know a lot of kids, especially boys, they play basketball, they play football, and they run track, and then they eventually go into basketball, football, full tilt. I know there's a lot of football players that ran track.
Right. To answer that, I mean, shoot, even on the team, we got a lot of football players, you know what I mean, actually on the team. But yeah, I don't know, basketball just wasn't my thing, I didn't like it. I hated just kind of practicing And just kind of, I guess, the way how my dad went about it, I just didn't really appreciate it. Some part of me honestly wishes I did more because I like to actually watch basketball. It's actually entertaining. But it just, me and Luke just weren't fans of it at all. And, like I said, when my mom brought me to the track, I actually started to like it. And I proposed the idea to my dad that, hey, this is actually, I actually like this more. And he wasn't having any of it. I don't know if it was more in the aspect of, I'm trying to remember what he told me. I guess it's because track is not a team sport, it's individual sport. It is an individual sport, but it's not at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you guys get points per the team, and that your team can win the meet or the districts or the nationals. Okay, so you got into track, and you've been competing through high school. So tell me about your high school the student part. So I'm going to ask you about the student part and the athletic parts for college and for high school. So tell me about the school part for high school. How was that for you?
The school part for high school. I mean, I went to Wayzata High School, so I went to, I guess, predominantly white school. It is a white school. It's a big school, roughly 3,600 kids or more. People ask me, like, because every time I get the question, like, yo, you went to Wayzata High School, so you was rich, you was bougie. No, like, I was not living, you know what I mean? So people would always have that narrative, and that just was never the case for me. But Wayzata is a good school academically. They have great programs, all that type of stuff. Obviously, they got money, so I would hope so. But it's a good school. Had a lot of had some good memories, had a lot of bad memories academically. I know my ACT scores weren't the greatest, but made sure I still stayed in them books because honestly, the grade system is what helped me get into Concordia. It wasn't wasn't really athletically. My grades alone were what was a big contributing factor. But yeah, Wayzata, it's a good school despite it being being a minority in the school. It's a good school.
Yeah. So what about the track portion? What about the athletic portion? How was your time there at Wayzata?
My athletic portion, I guess, at the school was just ups and downs, a combination of just kind of everything. My freshman year, I didn't run due to COVID. Everyone, I mean, honestly, everybody didn't run. It hurt a lot of people that year. So that was just kind of one aspect of it.
Right.
But my sophomore year is where I kind of turned on the jets and everything kind of came together. I was running pretty well, had a full indoor season and did what I needed to do. And on that aspect came the outdoor season and I was running well. I was PRing every meet. I was staying consistent, and I think we medaled at state in the 4x4. So I got
nice. So the 4x4 is your race.
Well, it's the 200 and the 400 on my races, but I didn't hit the standard times to run the state meet. So
so the 200 and the 400 are your races, and then on the 400 or the 400 by 4, what did you call that?
4x4, yeah, 4x4.
On the 4x4, if the 400 is your race, then you're one of the people on the 4x4 to make a winning team effort, right?
Yeah,
you got that right. Okay, so your sophomore you did well. What about your junior, senior years?
My junior year was good at the start. I was coming into my own, and I had just getting to the 50-second barrier. I was finally in that range in the 400, and I had been running well. Got through another full indoor season. I struggled a little bit because I was getting older. I was getting stronger, and I was kind of learning how my body was. Obviously, I'm a bit of a taller guy, so running on indoor tracks is not easy. And trying to master them turns. And by the time you try to open up, here comes a turn, then you got to kind of like lean a little bit and try not to trip up. It's very challenging for me indoors, but I got through it. I did what I needed to do. And once the high school season came, once the outdoor season came, I got through a few meets, but I ended up dealing with a major setback. I ended up getting a stress fracture in my ankle. They said that it was due to how I was running, and on top of that, could have just been stress too from just running all those meets indoors.
Right.
My body probably just wasn't used to that level of stress yet, even though I was doing well. I didn't even know it at the time. I'm just running. But yeah, I think it was, after an outdoor meet, I don't know what led up to it, but I think it was just a certain amount of time and pain and just build up on that side of my ankle. after one meet, I woke up one day and just couldn't even walk. Like
Wow.
it felt sore. I mean, it felt sore after the meet, and then the next day, and that's when I really felt it, I guess, when everything calmed down. So I was like, well, damn, like I just think my foot's broken. So I called my mom and all that type of stuff, and went to the doctor, and that was kind of history for the season right there.
Okay. And so did you come back for your senior season?
I did, but just not in the way that I wanted to. Because coming back my senior year, I was literally trying to learn how to run again once I got up out of the boot and got through all the
PT, the physical therapy,
got through all that type of stuff. And my body just wasn't the same. I was dealing with a lot of hip issues, groin issues. I said my hips were tight, all this. And obviously, I think a lot of it was probably up here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, just kind of learning what my body was going through coming back from such a serious injury. It was just, I felt like it was hard for me to handle. So I skipped the whole indoor season and just kind of went straight to outdoors. And as you know, high school training isn't good. So they had me doing work that was never going to get me to where I needed to be. I'm getting tired after a 200.
Wait a minute. Hold up. What do you mean high school training is never any good? So how do you get better, or how do kids in high school get better if the training is no good?
Well, I mean, a lot of high school kids kind of do their own thing, but most of them kind of just were very talented. And sometimes they take those few kids to state. But for me, what I did to try and get back was Track Minnesota Elite. That's the AAU track and field team I've been running on since I was 9 years old.
Okay.
And Coach Mel is the head sucker in charge of the organization, as he likes to call himself. And he's the one who got me to where I needed to be later throughout that year, because during that senior year, I was still kind of working things out and figuring out how my body was. And I just didn't get back to where I was. I was running okay, but just not where I needed to be. I didn't make state again, and it just wasn't the best time for me. Very stressful time. But once summer came, that's when I went back to Coach Mel, and he got me right. So I did workouts. They were hard workouts, but they got me to where I needed to be, and at a decent place. I ran not too bad. I proved to myself that I could still do what I needed to do, even coming back from a serious injury.
Right.
That relative success.
So, you mentioned that you've pointed to your head a couple times, indicating that your mindset had a lot to do with your recovery.
Mm-hmm.
You've done that a couple times. You've said that a couple times when you're talking about your outside training. So I want you to take a listen to this, and then I'm going to ask you what you think about it.
No, he can't block me. I know he can't block me.
Head, I didn't think that. Like, as far as like, he can't block me, he can't something different. I'm like, he actually in front of me trying to block me. I want to destroy him. The fact that you showed up to the game was disrespectful to me. It made me want to try and hurt you. And I wanted to do everything to prove and show that you shouldn't have been out here. I needed something negative. I didn't have, like, don't pat me on my back. When we get into the meetings, don't show me what I did great. I know what I did wrong. Show that to everybody. Let everybody see that. Because it's going to motivate me and drive me to want to. I can't never make that mistake again. I don't never want to mess up. Like, everything that I, like, dude, even if I was to get, like, knocked down, even though I'm, like, getting a double and dude come through and run through dude, I'm trying to do everything the next time I see him to take his head off. I'm not the person that, oh, you could do it, you could, no. Tell me what I can't do. Because that's what I've been told my whole life, and I proved you wrong. So that's what I'm trying to do. I want to hear what you think I can't do. I need all that.
Could you play against your friends?
I'm trying to do you the worst, because I want to be able to talk to you and all. See, Josh Cribbs was my college quarterback. Night. Yes. I talked to him after the game. My mama hugged him and all that. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to do you the worst because I need to be able to talk to you later. And you on the other side. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I want to do my best to make sure that I don't want to injure you. I don't want you out for the season, but I want to do my best to make sure you don't finish that game.
What do you think about that mindset? That's a heck of a mindset. For everybody that's listening and some of you that are watching, that was James Harrison from the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers, Hall of Famer, Yellow Jacket, best of the best at what he does. And that was his mindset on how he approached his athletic career, most likely his life. So, Del, I know that you are what I consider a historian of the game. When I met you, I looked at you and looked at more so I looked at what you were doing, and I gave you a nickname. You remember the nickname I gave you?
The champ or
The champ. I called you the champ, right? And you
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
don't know where that comes from. You think that that's just something that guys in your mom's life do. They call kids, little nicknames to try to get familiar with them. I didn't call you that for that reason. I called you that because you reminded me, and you remind me of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was a historian. He knew every boxer. He knew every boxing match. He knew what shots knocked out the opponent, what round they were knocked out. I mean, he studied his craft. And when I met you, you were eating dinner with your phone in front of you watching track meets. You knew every Olympic athlete. You knew the times that they ran. Your knowledge base on track and track history was just impressive. It is still impressive. And so I'm saying that so that you understand what that meant to me, and why I called you that, but also that I saw the mindset that you had. And then when you got injured, that was the first test of your mindset. So when you look at James Harrison, and I understand that, he's on a plane all by himself with that mindset. What's your mindset now that you've gone through the injury? And we haven't talked about your college career yet, but even coming back your senior year in the summer, how did your mindset develop and grow since you had that fracture and since you were able to come back? Was it easy? You were just determined, or what happened?
Man, it was probably the hardest thing I ever did. Just being real. Like, even in the summertime, I didn't have all my confidence. I lost a great deal of it, honestly. Just kind of training, I felt like I was just kind of just going through the motions and just really in my head, to be honest. I remember because keep in mind, the AAU season is very short. It's only, you got, I'm pretty sure it's the meet to qualify to regionals, and then regionals and nationals, and that's really it. And you only get about a few weeks to train for. So during that whole week, I was getting my confidence back, but I was still I was so much in my head about, am I ever going to get back? Am I even the same athlete I was? So
were you worried about injury? Like, I got hurt in college, and I had my knee reconstructed, like completely reconstructed. And, in the back of my mind, I was always concerned that I was going to rip it apart again, or is it strong enough to hold up? And can I be the athlete? Exactly what you were just saying. Can I be the same athlete? But as we move forward, and we're not going to move forward fast, we're going to do it slow. But as we move forward and we start talking about your accolades, we actually opened up with the fact that you were the newcomer of the year. So that gave everybody a sneak peek that you're the man. So, but where did you take that, I don't want to say brokenness, but that mindset that, man, maybe I should quit because I know that happened at some point. Should I keep trying? Should I keep working to get to the point to where I'm going to keep working, to get to the point to where, man, I can do this at a high level really well? How did that flow for you? Just in terms of maybe helping other people understand it wasn't just easy. You just didn't wake up and go, I'm the man, I'm gonna fix this and I'm gonna keep moving.
Nah, man, I didn't just wake up. It's really hard to explain. It's really just kind of over time. It took a million people to kind of get me right and tell me what I needed to do. I know you even talked about on the aspect of, is it going to happen again? Yeah, I think about it, and in the summertime, it's crazy because I was actually healthy. I was healthy. But in my mind, I didn't believe I was.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just kind of that aspect of it. And it just took a really long time for I think what really set off is that speech Coach Tara gave me before my 200, because after the 400 is the regional qualifier, I ran horrible. I didn't get out. I was in my head. I didn't do what I needed to do. So I think, and I came out in that 200, I blasted out the blocks and kind of set the tone.
So what did you run first that meet?
I ran the 400.
Okay, so you ran the 400. So for context, everyone, he was in a summer meet, and he's healthy. He's running. He's training. He's we'll talk about his training regimen in a little bit, but he's doing his thing, and he's just tight AF. He comes out, he does the 400, and he's tight AF. I don't know if he's tight mentally or physically, but when he's running, people beating him that shouldn't even been in the race. And so, again, for context, so after that race, he's beating himself up, and he's just hard on himself. And Coach Tara, one of the Minnesota elite coaches, pulled him aside, and none of us know what she said, but whatever it was, tell him what happened on the 200.
I mean, shoot, I think I had like lane 2, and I just got out and I just started catching people and walking them down. And I think I got second in the heat, but I set the tone that I was, hey, I'm still here.
But you were back. Yeah,
I'm still here. And I PR'd barely, so
I think I'm gonna have to take a time out on this podcast and give Coach Tara a call so she can give me a little pep talk right now, so we could 10x what we doing too. Okay, so finishing up the high school journey, what would you recommend to a high school kid, both academically and athletically? So as a student athlete, what advice would you give them, kind of covering their schoolwork as well as their athletics and potentially overcoming any obstacle? What would you suggest to them?
I would just say reach out for help, whether that's academically. If you're struggling academically, just get help, man. Like, there's no point in procrastinating on it and just letting it build up. Just get help, get it done, because that's what's going to affect you and being able to compete. You know what I mean? School always comes first. You know what I'm saying? And for the athletic piece, if you are dealing with injuries, patience, man. Patience is so key. Like, I had to be patient for 2 years, and that's what I kind of keep telling people. I had to be patient for 2 years.
And that's that is great advice. Not what I expected you to say, but that's better than what I was thinking. That I would say. I mean, like, seriously better than what I was thinking. But man, patience at 17, 18 is a big thing. So that's spot on, man. I was lucky I didn't get hurt in high school. I got hurt plenty of times in college, but not high school.
Right.
So moving on to college, let's talk about the transition from high school to college. Did you know exactly where you were going? Did you have it all figured out? Did you have letters and requests? I'm assuming not, because you said you were injured. So how was that transition?
It was not as, I mean, I bet a lot of people had very similar transitions, but it wasn't the ideal transition. Like, had the Instagram photo, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff, committed, you know what I mean? It wasn't like that at all. So I didn't know where I was going, for starters. I didn't, I had obviously aspirations to go D1. I mean, who doesn't have those aspirations? I mean, some of those are still there, but I mean, yeah, I just I remember I heard about Concordia. I heard about it, obviously, from athletes from Track Minnesota. And I actually had applied there pretty late. I think I had applied in like May or something, very late. Obviously, that was my fault. But, I'd applied there. The coach actually responded back really fast. He reached out to me. He said he liked what he saw, got a visit there. And, I was liking what I was seeing. And I knew a lot of people at this school as well.
Okay.
That also helped a great deal. I was liking what I was seeing. I was liking the coach, and I thought it was a great choice. And I genuinely believe I made the right one.
I love it. So now that you've been in school, I mean, you're coming up another month or two. You'll be done with your first season.
Yep.
We've already let everyone know that you are the newcomer of the year for the school athletically. What would you like to, I'm curious to ask you about, you have this thing, and you had it in your junior year, and you already mentioned it. We kind of blew over it, but I was going to circle back, which is what we are now. And you're right back into that whole thing where every time you go out, or almost every time you compete at an event, you're doing a PR, which is a personal record. So you're improving on where you were before almost every time you go out. What's that about?
Honestly, I feel like it's just made up for, I would like to believe it's just made up for lost time. Like I said, I had to be patient for 2 years. And I think now, since I've gotten the training, I'm actually healthy. That's why I've seen the results that I've seen. And I've been able to just kind of get them one after another. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And I didn't even really expect it. Like I said, I just kind of get in the box and do what I do. I know people talked about the 300-meter record, and I looked at it and I just ran it. I knew I could get that, and then that was cool. Then came the 200 record, And I'm just like, oh, wow. So I didn't even know I got that. I wasn't even looking at the school records or anything. I just ran it. And then people said I got it. So I was like,
Right.
that's crazy. All right, cool. You know, and I PR, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of back in that zone of just kind of stepping on track and dropping time, which everybody believes and wish that they could, but it's not always something that you can do.
Right.
You take those PRs and you don't let it get to you. You celebrate it, but you also keep moving forward because you're not going to PR every time you get on the track.
Right. But it does give you that. To me, it's kind of like in school, right? Like when you get an A, you're like, oh, I can get A's. It's like PR and says, oh, I can run that time, which means that I can do that and possibly better. So I think it's a great marker of what your abilities are and what your capabilities are and where you could go next. So I love it. And I love the fact that you just, I mean, when you were when you were a junior, PR. And so now you're making up for lost time and you've surpassed, all the numbers that your team, and I say your team, I don't mean your Concordia team. I mean the people that are encompassing you, your mom, your dad, your brothers, me, you've surpassed all the numbers that we've laid out as numbers. And it's so exciting because we know that, at least it's my understanding, and I'm just learning about track, because of you, but it's my understanding that those indoor numbers translate outdoors even more favorably.
Yeah, they
so
do.
I'm really excited about those numbers. So, how's the academic part of college going for you this first year?
Man, it's challenging. I will say that first semester was pretty slight. I mean, I think I'd even talked about it with my counselor, not wanting my first semester to be too much because I was just kind of getting into it. But boy, I wish I had changed that and made my first semester a little more challenging because once that track season started up, boy, let's just say I was little on the ropes. There was a lot less more going out and staying inside.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But you did adjust though, right?
You said what?
You did adjust though. You said, I couldn't go out as much, but I made that sacrifice so that I can get what I need.
Right. I made that sacrifice. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have my fun my first semester. And then just like, okay. And then once that second semester came, let's just say I've been on the ropes, presentation and exams, just kind of back to back. So but it's important to stay on top of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I want you to check this out, then I'm going to ask you a question.
Write down right now on a piece of paper, this is what I want. If you can't list them, this is what I want, then you can't have it. Because your mind will get for you what you want, but you have to feed it a vision of what you're looking for. It's always interesting because the function of the mind is to make coherence between your belief and your reality. If I believe it's not going to work, then the function of the mind will manifest in a situation where it doesn't work. If I totally believe this is how it's going to work, then my mind will set me up in a situation where it works that way. And all of a sudden, that's when you start to realize, wait a minute, it's not chance anymore. This isn't chance. This is creativity. And we are creators.
So your mom, the Coach Dawn Johnson, which everybody calls her, is a life coach who has been pouring into your mindset for years, probably your entire life. And, you just saw that video. So if I were to ask you about your goals, given that you've completely blown away your indoor goals, have you sat down and started to create what you want your last semester to finish academically, what you want your outdoor track season to finish academically? Have you sat down? So if I ask you, could you sit down and write down, like the guy was saying, can you write down? Could you do that yet? Or is that something you still need to do as you head into, because you're on break right now, but as you head into the outdoor season?
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about it because obviously I'm on spring break. I've had some time, but I haven't actually sat down and wrote anything down. Probably a good idea too. Obviously it makes a lot of sense, but as of right now, just kind of giving it some thought. I definitely know what I want to do and what I want to achieve academically and athletically.
I love it. So you already know, just write it down, because when you write it down, it becomes more real. Your mind operates by hearing, by seeing, by feeling, by tasting, by touching, your imagination. So let me ask you this question. I got a couple questions left. So what about There are a lot of athletes, professional athletes, that they talk about using visualization to perform. So as an example, there's been track athletes that imagine running the race. I think Noah Lyles said this. He imagines running the race when he's sitting in his living room chair. He closes his eyes. He imagines his warm up. He imagines getting in the blocks, taking off where he is, how his starts are. And a lot of psychologists, and I think it's psychologists, sports psychologists use this technique for golfers. They use it for a lot of athletes. Is that something that you do or have done in your career?
Yeah. I mean, I remember in high school, I imagined myself doing it, but I think it just happened differently. You know what I mean? It didn't happen when I wanted it to. That's really what it was.
That's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point. You did the visualization, but it didn't happen immediately or happen when you thought it was going to happen, but it did happen.
But it just wanted to.
Who's your favorite athlete?
Who's my favorite athlete? Probably LeBron James.
LeBron James. I love it. I didn't know that, but I was getting ready to say earlier, when you were talking about breaking the 200 record, the 300 record for the school, I was like, man, you're going to be the LeBron James of Concordia.
No.
I mean, because you're only a freshman. Think about it. If you keep getting better and better and better, and you've already broke the records as a freshman, you're going to be LeBron James.
I mean, yeah, something like that. I mean, of course, I like Noah Lyles too. I mean, I like them all the track. Right.
So last question, and for those of you that don't know or may not really know, the 24K Life philosophy is all about living unapologetically as your highest, most valuable self. Just like 24 karat gold, which is pure gold, it's unfiltered and valuable in its truest form. At its core, 24K Life is all about self-mastery, understanding who you are, clarity of what you want, taking consistent action. Maybe many people may feel like they work hard, but they feel stuck financially, physically, mentally, and spiritually. They have the potential, but are held back by fear, doubt, or a lack of direction. 24K Life helps people break through those limitations. And the question that we ask every guest is, what does living the 24K life mean to you, and how do you embody it in your daily routines?
It relates to me just more on the aspect of trying, like everything I do on and off the track, I try and relate it to just about everything, whether that's academically, obviously that's being on the track, that's my relationships with people, relationship with God, all that type of stuff. I make sure to, I guess, put 100% in everything that I do. You know what I mean?
Excellent. I love that, man. Sit back, sit tight in the green room, and I'll be right back with you. All right, everybody, you heard it. So listen, what a great young man, right? I mean, he's 18, 19, and he's gone through some things that people go through, but not most young people. And he's come out on top, and he's right back in the game, and he's putting his work in. If I could go back and summarize some of the things that I thought are just quintessential, the number one thing that Dale shared with us, and this is something that as adults we can use without a question, is that when you're struggling, get help. He mentioned struggling, coming back, and he went to the head sucker in charge, Coach Mel, and Coach Antoine, and all the other coaches, and Coach Tara. Get help at whatever it is you're lacking. There's no reason for you to struggle alone, especially when there's people out there in your circle, on your team, in your spectrum that can guide you to where you want to be. He also didn't really say it, but he demonstrated it. He just never gave up. He said, it didn't happen when I wanted to happen, but I kept at it. So he didn't give up. He kept fighting the good fight, and everything started to flow his way. One of the things we didn't really get into is his workout routine. He is staunchly committed to doing, number one, what he's directed to do by his coaches and his trainers, strength trainers, lifting, his footwork when he got injured. And they said, hey, you got this injury because your footwork was off, reconstructing his footwork. He is very diligent at putting in the work. He's very disciplined at putting in the work. He is very consistent at putting in the work. And that's what it takes to be 24 karat. And we're excited and honored to have Dell on our podcast. We are approaching our 1 100th episode. Trust me, I'm working on who that guest is going to be. Hey, in the meanwhile, I'm Derek Gant. Be your best. Bring your best.